Dear viewers, I have a confession. It's taken a great deal of courage for me to finally come forward, but I need to speak my truth. I find that most anime writing is kinda meh. Don't get me wrong, there are some anime like Death Note, Avatar The Last Airbender, or Hajime no Jimmy that have proven that there can exist a sweet combination of character-driven narratives, pulse-pounding action, and titillating fan service.
So, what do you guys want to do today?
Hang out with your mom?
But at the end of the day, I've had my heart broken too many times due to high expectations, to the point where I can rarely walk into an anime series expecting a high depth of characters. So when I finally came across Kuroko no Basuke and experienced Murasakibara's arc in full, I... While there are so many lovable and memorable characters in Kuroko no Basuke, Murasakibara is the one character whose development is actually very subtle and nuanced, which encourages the viewer to come to their own conclusions as to why he behaves in the manner that he does. Murasakibara is a member of the Generation of Miracles, a group of 6 basketball prodigies whose abilities straight up border into the realm of absurdity, with some of them making court-long 3-point shots, and others going full Kobe and scoring hoops from behind the net. Rest in peace, Kobe. Murasakibara is a bit different relative to his prodigious counterparts, though, because while many of them are arrogant and don't feel the same joy that they had when they initially started competing, our purple-haired prodigy openly and frequently expresses that he doesn't even actually like basketball. As a matter of fact, he even goes so far as to say that he hates the game, but simply hates losing even more. What I find to be ironic about this flippance is that Murasakibara is coming from a place of possessing an inordinate amount of raw talent. He's actually confirmed through dialogue to be the most naturally gifted of the 6 prodigies, with his colossal height and abnormally long limbs being incredible tools that no other member possesses. This raw talent helps inform his unique ideological stance, one that posits that hard work is pointless since there are certain outcomes that can't be achieved regardless of one's work ethic. This worldview stands diametrically opposed to that of Kuroko's, as Kuroko can't shoot a hoop to save his life, yet works very hard to find his own niche on the team. This puts the two at odds in a meaningful way when they're actually put on opposing sides of the court, as the prize of winning their game would be more than merely progressing in the tournament, but would also serve to validate one of the two philosophical perspectives on effort versus talent. But here's my question. Why is it that Murasakibara, the most naturally talented member of a generation of prodigies, the guy who fundamentally believes that raw talent and not hard work is the main contributing factor to victory, why does he, of all people, hate a sport that he's so naturally good at? Why does Murasakibara hate basketball? The answer, simply put, is that he doesn't. Murasakibara is lying to himself, and in more ways than one.
まさか紫バラッチ入りやがった
The Zone, a state of being in which players can remove all unwanted thoughts from their mind, giving them absolute focus and ability in their play. As Aomina states, there are 2 requirements for being able to enter the zone: an absurd amount of raw talent and a deeply passionate love of the sport in question. While Aomina justifiably states early on that Murasakibara is incapable of entering the zone due to his negative attitude toward basketball, the moment finally arrives in Murasakibara's game versus Seirin, where we get to see those electric sparks that we know can only emanate from the chosen few who can push their way to peak performance. Murasakibara, someone who purports to hate basketball, has entered the zone. Of course, this isn't enough to beat our heroes, and Murasakibara still ultimately loses. By the end of the game, he claims to want to quit basketball because he lost. But Kuroko, as well as the audience at this point, understand that the guy never really hated basketball to begin with. So now a different question has presented itself. If Murasakibara does love basketball, then why does he lie to everyone, including himself? What I think is really fun about the show is that it doesn't really ever spell his reasoning out for you, and encourages the audience to piece together the various facets of Murasakibara's character to figure things out for yourself. Ultimately, the show paints Murasakibara's character as one whose worldview is fundamentally based on pain avoidance. If Murasakibara admits to himself that he loves basketball, then he'd also have to admit that a loss in a game is the result of immutable characteristics, and that he has no agency in the game that he loves more than anything. And so, when Murasakibara loses to Seirin, he claims that he's going to quit basketball. What's the point in playing anymore if you know that your efforts won't be rewarded? What Murasakibara's childish attitude toward basketball ultimately denotes is the toxicity tendency of taking a deterministic approach to the outcomes of your life. His mindset of claiming to hate basketball and claiming that outcomes are contingent solely upon immutable factors does theoretically allow for him to mitigate the painful effects of losing, since he can just claim that his opponents are more naturally gifted than him and that he doesn't actually care. However, this worldview forces him to look at the sport that he loves through a detached lens. This mindset may mitigate the painful effects of losing, but it does so at the cost of removing almost all of the joy of winning. And it's a painfully inauthentic mindset too, one that forces you to lie to yourself when deep down inside, you know that there may be things that you can do to improve your situation you just haven't found yet. Quick aside, but I also freaking love that the show often depicts its male characters crying when they lose. I went over this in one of my earlier videos on this channel, but it makes me happy to see media that normalizes men showing their emotions instead of keeping them bottled up so that the abhorrently high male suicide rate keeps going up. What Murasakibara's arc shows us is that even having superhuman strength doesn't exempt people from these flawed lines of reasoning, and that while you may be able to convincingly lie to other people, it's quite a difficult task to convincingly lie to yourself. Thanks for watching this deep anime analysis. I was initially going to do a very long video about each of the Generation of Miracles, but I figured I'd test the waters first with this anime analysis and see if you guys liked it before going full ham with a 30-minute video. Let me know if you'd like to see me do another deep dive into another character from this or any other anime in the comments. I really do love certain anime. I'm just very, very picky and have very specific tastes, so I'm not easily sold on like slice of life or shonen stuff. Anime recommendations in the comments. Boom, do it now. I insist. Fucking do it. Also follow me on Twitch if you want to say hi. Bye la.